Hey everybody, my name is Nico Hessel and I'm the founder and CEO of Upwork Outbound. Upwork Outbound is a lead generation agency that helps companies utilize the power of Upwork. And so we take our proven scripts, processes, SOPs, and we plug them directly into businesses to help them start generating revenue using Upwork. And I got first introduced to Upwork about a year ago when I was running a content creation agency. And at the time we were really struggling to land clients, but within just a handful of months of me discovering Upwork, I was able to add $15,000 in monthly revenue using Upwork. And so I make these videos because I know how powerful of a tool Upwork truly is if it's being properly utilized. And I recently wrote a 30-page ebook that details all the systems, processes, training manuals, hiring guides that I use to generate this much revenue from Upwork. And I got a lot of really good feedback on it. And so I figured I would make a video breaking it down. So with that being said, let's hop in. All right, so we're hopping in here. You can see that we're in Notion, and I'll leave a link in the description so you can download the free full guide for yourself, which is obviously nicely formatted. And so hopping right in, the first phase is just gonna be to create an Upwork profile. This should take 1 to 2 days, absolute maximum. It's really not that difficult. And so we're just gonna hop in, and it's really just doing the basics for this first step. So first, you're gonna wanna create a freelancer account. Then you're gonna need a professional looking headshot. This is pretty obvious, but if you don't have one, just take one and clean it up using headshots.com. I think it's about $50 for them to clean it up. And so they give you the instructions and everything. You just have to take a decent picture and then they'll do all the editing for you. It's important to note that your title should only contain one subject. And so while you can offer multiple things on Upwork, the title should only have one subject. And so my title is social media marketing. My company provides social media management, paid advertising. We do some catalog design. We do a handful of different things, but our title is just social media marketing. And so that is fairly important. Then you're gonna write a detailed introduction. Mine's about 1,700 characters. Really, it's not too crazy. You're just gonna want to introduce yourself and your team, discuss the experience you have, discuss the things that make you unique, discuss, past clients you've worked with, provide some social proof in there, tell people how many years of experience you and your team have, that type of thing. It's also good to highlight the common pain points of your clients and speak directly to them. And so you can see mine here. You can see the paragraphs are broken up quite a bit, and we want this to be unintimidating and provide a lot of information at the same time. And so one really good tool that I use is lists. You can see 2 or 3 times here on my introduction, I use a list. It comes off as very unintimidating. It has a ton of white space, but there's still a bunch of information in there. And so that is one helpful trick that I like to use. Next, you'll see on the top left-hand corner of your Upwork profile that Upwork allows you to film a video introduction and then upload it. And so you're gonna do just that in step 2. Now, this is really just an opportunity to build trust with prospects because essentially anytime someone hires you, I can almost guarantee that they're gonna look at your profile first. And so they will likely click on the video introduction if you put one in there. And so we're gonna put one in. And the way I see it, you really have 2 options for filming. You can either speak directly to the camera, which is just speaking directly to the camera, discussing, your experience, introducing yourself. It's really pretty self-explanatory. The second option would be to screen record. So then you could briefly introduce yourself and then showcase client results, case studies, samples of your work, or anything else. And so whichever method you choose, they both work really well, but whichever one you choose, obviously just have a nice background, present yourself in a fairly professional manner, just do the basics really well. So you can view my video introduction here. I'm not gonna click on it, but like I mentioned, there'll be a link to download the free guide for yourself in the description, so you can check that out. But it's important to note that mine is edited quite a bit. And so just so you know, this is not at all necessary. A video of you just speaking directly to the camera with no edits, as long as it's filmed in a professional manner, will do just as well. Now we're gonna move on to step 3, which is providing social proof. And so by far, the biggest objection when dealing and hiring with a new account on Upwork is trust, right? They don't have any reviews. They don't have a job success score. They're not Upwork top rated or Upwork top rated plus, right? And so there's a lot of things that are there's a lot of unknowns, right? And so in order to kind of combat that, we're going to request testimonials from current or former clients and fill out the testimonials section. So navigate to the testimonial section, click the plus button, and you're going to see this screen. Fill in all the details and then request a testimonial. So I like to do this for 3 to 5 people when I'm starting out. And so that way you can at least point to your testimonial section if someone sends you a message and says, hey, do you have any experience or anything else? And it's just going to look really good when someone visits your profile if you don't have any reviews or a job history or any of that stuff. And so next, we're going to move on to filling out our portfolio. So you're going to want to create at least 3 sections here. Now, this is really important. You can see here, this is a preview of how it looks on the Upwork screen. So if you don't create at least 3 sections, you're going to be left with a blank spot and it's just going to look really weird. So please just at least create 3 sections. You can see mine are graphic design, Facebook ads, and a video testimonial. And so the graphic design piece, just examples of my social media management work, and the Facebook ads section are just examples of our Facebook ads and a case study. And so the one thing to note is that if you are going to put in a video testimonial, please make sure it's in one of the first 3 spots, or else it's just not going to be immediately visible. And a lot of people are only going to look at the first 3 spots, the first 3 sections of your portfolio. And so if you're going to upload a video testimonial, we want it to be immediately visible to people who are visiting our profile. And so I do recommend you add a video testimonial if you have one. I've had a bunch of different people who have hired me on Upwork comment on the video testimonial that I have on my profile. And so I think it bodes really well. So if you don't have any clients or even past examples of your work, I would encourage you to create a mock project, a mock case study, and then display it in this section. And so if I was a graphic designer, for example, and I didn't have any past experience or any examples of my work that I've done for former clients, I would maybe create a handful of designs, 5 to 10 designs for Adidas, 5 to 10 for Nike, and then I would display them in this section. And so that's a way to kind of make up for your lack of social proof and just give people an idea of what they can expect from your work. And so that's step 3. Step 4, super simple. You're going to scroll down to the skills and experience section, fill in that section accordingly. It's very simple. You just add the skills that you have, extremely self-explanatory. Then you're going to scroll down to the certifications section, just the same, enter any certifications that you have. And you can either upload these through Credly or you can just do them manually. It doesn't really matter. Then you'll complete the employment and experience section, which is just underneath the certification section. Again, super self-explanatory. This is, pretty simple. It doesn't really require excessive detail. Just include all your relevant experience. This is really a chance for you to brag in a professional manner, of course, but this is a chance for you to brag a little bit. Like in mine, I mentioned how many years of experience my team and I have. So I think the first sentence is my team and I have a combined over 10 years of experience or something like that. And then I talk about recent results that we have attained for one of our companies. And so I talk about an oral care D2C company that we work with to manage their Instagram page. And I talk about the percentage increases that we were able to achieve in the first 3 months of working with them. And so you can see I provide a decent amount of social proof there and just giving people another reason to trust me and my team. And so that is phase 1. And now we're going to move on to phase 2, which is providing value on a small level. And so you're going to stay in this phase until you have 2 to 3 jobs on Upwork and a few good reviews on your Upwork profile. And so step 1 is going to be creating a list of search terms. And so it's important to note that Upwork's search engine is terrible. And so you're going to get completely different results for jobs, even if you're searching very, very closely related keywords or search terms. And so it's going to be important to create a list of search terms that directly relate to jobs that you can fulfill. And so it's going to be very simple. You're going to start by searching all the services that you can provide and tools that you use, and then just write down on a piece of paper or in a Google document a list of the ones that list of keywords or search terms that lead to jobs that you can fulfill. So fairly simple. You can see there's a list of mine here. I have social media management, social media manager, social media marketing, social media marketer, Facebook advertising, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Adobe Premiere Pro, and Canva. And so it's important to note, like, tools are a really big deal, especially if you're working in an industry with a lot of different tools. Like if you
do email marketing, for example, a lot of people put inside their job post that they want someone to use instantly, or Lemlist, or MailChimp, or whatever else, right? And so using tools as search terms has been really, really good for me. It's worked really well. You can see I have a few in my keywords. So mine are Canva and Adobe Premiere Pro. That's just one for video editing, one for graphic design, but there would be a bunch more that would work really well. And so step 2 is going to be to create your template. And so while each proposal needs to be personalized, having a template is just going to save you so much time and energy, and it's going to be super beneficial. And so here's one that I used when I was starting out on Upwork. It worked fairly well for me, and I would suggest that you use something very similar. So feel free to steal this. Like I said, there'll be a link in the description to download the free full ebook. And so you can just copy and paste this. And then obviously you're going to want to change it up depending on your industry. The one thing to note is that when you're starting out on Upwork, it's going to be probably a longer proposal that you're going to want to use, a longer proposal template, because like I mentioned a few times already, they just have no reason to trust you because you don't have any reviews on your Upwork profile yet. And so when you're starting out, you'll have typically a little bit longer of a template. And so you can see mine right here. It just says, hey, first name, I've read your job description and I'm confident that I can help you. Insert need posted in proposal. And so that means like if they post a job looking for YouTube shorts for a video editor to create YouTube shorts, I might say, hey, first name, I've read your job description and I'm confident that I can help you create YouTube shorts for your medical manufacturing company, if they mentioned they were a medical manufacturing company in the description, right? And so you just want to add a little bit of personalization, a little bit of detail into this first line. Then you bring in, although I'm new to Upwork, I've been working in X industry for X years and I've completed many, insert job type. And so then you're going to want to provide a little bit of social proof, outline how you can solve the problems, all that fun stuff. So this might say, although I'm new to Upwork, I've been working in the video editing industry for 10 years and I've completed many projects editing reels or shorts or whatever else, right? And then for this section, you might say, in my most recent project, I worked for the BBC and Channel 4 in the UK to successfully edit their videos or whatever, right? You just want to provide a little bit of social proof, a little bit of a reason for someone to trust you and go check out your profile. Then you can say, my portfolio can be found on my profile below the work history section, as Upwork no longer allows links in cover letters. So this is really important. Upwork does not allow links in cover letters other than PDFs and Google Drive links. And so if you can put your your portfolio into a Google Drive link, do that and just attach it here. And if you can't, you'll have to put it in the Upwork portfolio and just point people to that section. Then, this is very important, always have a direct call to action in your proposals. So mine is, I'd love to hop on a call and hear more about your project. Is there a time this week or next that you'd be free for 15 minutes? You can also give a direct day and time. So you could say, I'd love to hop on a call and hear more about your project. Are you available Friday at 6 p.m. or 4 p.m. or whatever, right? Thanks, comma, name. And so note, this should be obvious, but everything that I just went over that's inside the brackets needs to be personalized every time you submit a proposal. And so this Loom video, which I'm not going to click on now, but you can click on it when you download the free guide, will show you how to find the job poster's first name. So essentially, you're going to go into their work history section and try and find a review from the freelancer that they worked with to the job poster. And so that's basically going to how you're going to find their first name. And so it's going to be crucial that you check for the job poster's name. On the job poster's screen, they are only able to preview the first 300 characters of each proposal. And speaking from experience, I hire a ton on Upwork. And when someone takes the time to look through my job history, they find that my first name is Nico, and they start their proposal with, hey, Nico, or dear Nico. It grabs my attention so much more than someone who just starts their proposal with, hey, or dear client, or to whom it may concern. Right? Those are all terrible in my opinion. And so you stand out so much if you just take 30 seconds to find the job poster's first name. Like I mentioned, the only links allowed in Upwork proposals are Google Drive links or PDFs. And so if you provide a service that can't be showcased in the portfolio section of Upwork, just throw all your work into a Google Drive folder and then attach it to your proposals And so I actually prefer that to pointing people to the portfolio section, excuse me. And so you can see here, like I say, my portfolio can be found on my profile below the work history section. If you do have the ability to throw all your work into a Google Drive folder, just do that and just say my portfolio can be found here and then attach it. That's going to work easier. It's just going to be easier for someone to click on the link rather than have to go through a few steps to review your portfolio. And so that's it for step 2. Now we're going to move on to step 3, which is going to be submitting proposals to small jobs. And you'll see that this is going to be a common theme in this guide, is that when you first start on Upwork, people don't have a reason to trust you. And so our goal with step 3 is to get a few small jobs under our belt and get a few good reviews. And so for context, my first 2 jobs were each $60, and I spent over 4 hours on each of them, which is obviously way less than ideal, right? And so while that wasn't ideal, having those 2 reviews was the main reason that my third client booked a meeting with me, and that third client ended up paying me more than $6,000 in the next few months. And so you can see the power of just having some social proof. And when you're doing these cheap jobs, as long as it's a decent person you're working with, they're often very understanding that it is semi-cheap work, and they're often very, very open to writing you a very awesome review. And so make sure that you ask them to do that at the end of working with them, because that's essentially the entire point of this step, is just to get a few good reviews so people can feel like they trust you. And so here you're going to search for fixed price jobs under $100. So you make sure that you're only searching within your country, as that's going to be the best bet of getting a job. And so you can see here, I'm searching for US only jobs, less than $100 price point, that are fixed price jobs. And so once you've applied to all relevant jobs that are under $100 for fixed price, start searching for hourly jobs that pay between $10 and $20 per hour. And so you can see here, I've filtered for hourly jobs between $10 and $20 an hour, still in the US only. So as I scroll down here, for fixed price jobs, bid the same exact price as the job poster's budget. And so you're going to see like someone will put in $60 for a job, and you'll see that when you click on the job and start applying for it, you'll be given an option to bid on the job. Just bid the same price that they entered, bid $60 if they entered $60. So super self-explanatory. Like we've already touched on, the biggest objection is trust. And so this is just another way to try and overcome that. And so like I already mentioned as well, when you complete a job on Upwork, make sure the client leaves you a very good review, because that's the entire point of this section, right? The point of this section is not to earn $120 working for 8 hours, right? That's definitely not the point. The point is to gain some social proof. And so when you complete a job on Upwork, make sure they leave you a good review, even if you have to follow up for a few weeks. Just keep harping on it, because you essentially have nothing to lose, right? So that's step 3. Now we're going to move on to step 4. And so step 4 is the platform guidelines. And so the last thing that we want is for you to start seeing some success on Upwork and then get banned because you weren't aware of the guidelines and the rules on Upwork. And so it's important to note that you have to process all payment on Upwork. This is also important because job posters can view the amount of money that you've earned, which builds trust as time increases and as your earnings increase. And so additionally, clients can also only leave you a review if you process the payment on Upwork, which is super important when you're starting out. Next, you're going to want to make sure to keep all communication on Upwork until you've signed a contract. And so if you start sending people your email in the Upwork chats, you'll likely get an email with an account restriction telling you that your account has been restricted for taking the communication off of Upwork before you sign a contract. And so once you sign a contract with that client, then you can move to email or whatever other platform that you want to move to. But before that, make sure that you keep all communication on Upwork. Next, some job posts are going to require you to answer a few custom questions along with your proposal. I usually write a few sentences, 2 to 5. And so you can see some examples of those questions here. They often say, describe recent experience. This one says, what would the greatest risks to success be and how would you mitigate them? And so They're usually custom questions. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just do the best you can to answer them. And next, we're going to be at phase 3, which is submitting hyper-personalized proposals. And so you're going to stay in this phase until you have $7,000 earned on Upwork and at least 5 good reviews on your profile. So the first step is going to be to update the job criteria. And so now that we're submitting proposals to higher quality jobs, you're going to want to identify the job postings that give you the best chance of being hired for the jobs that you actually want, right? And so here's the checklist that I use. Payment is verified, or specific information about the company is listed in the description. You'll see that there's some job posts that are not real. They're not actual job posts. They have another goal of getting your email or some other breach of the Upwork guidelines. And so to try and avoid applying to those, just make sure that they have their payment verified, and you'll see that that's a little icon on the job posting. So either that or specific information about the company is mentioned. And so even if it just says, I need Facebook ads for my realtor company, whatever, right? For my real estate agency, that is enough. That is enough specific information that we can, have a fairly high degree of confidence that they are a real person and it is a real job. And I'll just note as a side note, Upwork is pretty good about banning these people. And so there's not a ton of fake jobs, but it's just something to look out for. Next, they're looking for a freelancer in your country only. So I always start by searching all of the jobs that are posted, looking for US freelancers, looking only for US freelancers, because naturally my competition is so much smaller if I'm only competing with people in the US and not the entire world. So do that for your own country as well. Third, they're looking for a service that I can provide. Fourth, less than 20 proposals submitted. The fewer the better. Really, this should be 50, less than 50 proposals submitted. But if they have less than 20, that's even better, right? And you can see that directly on the job post as well. Next, their bidding range has to include rates of $15 per hour or more. So I know that does not sound very much, but it's important to understand that sometimes people will put $15 an hour because they just don't know what that job is gonna cost, right? They have no idea, they have no context, they have no information, right? They just know they need a video editor, and so they put $15 because Upwork requires them to choose a price, right? That, or maybe they think that a video edit is gonna take 6 hours or 8 hours even, and so they're prepared to pay $120 for one video. But in reality, it's going to take you 2 hours or even an hour, right? And so this would still be an awesome deal to get $120 for one video is pretty solid. And so that's why we go as low as $15 per hour. And note, rarely will jobs fit all of this criteria, but if the first 3 are met, then you've got the thumbs up to go ahead and apply. And again, those are payment verified or specific information, looking for a freelancer in your country, and a service that you can provide. And so step 2 is we're finally going to start submitting proposals. And so now that we have our updated job criteria, we're going to begin submitting hyper-personalized proposals. And so you can use the same template as I gave you in phase 2. And here you can see an example of one of our clients who used a very, very similar template and saw a ton of really good success. And he actually got a job from this proposal. So I'm just going to real quick break it down. And so quickly to note, sometimes job posters will request that you put a certain word in your proposal just to make sure that you've read their entire job posting. Right? So sometimes at the very end of their job post, you'll see it says, if you've read the entire job post, put the word creative into your proposal. And so that's just a way for them to make sure that people aren't skimming their job post, that people are actually reading it. And so you can see in this example, the word is creative. So my client put the word creative at the top of his proposal. And I'm not going to read through this entire thing, but I'm just going to highlight a few things that he did really, really well. And so you can see the personalization in this proposal is extreme, right? The proposal identifies the client's needs and addresses them in the first line. The proposal references experience in both of the services that the client needs, and it provides specific examples of work that relate to this job. So my client provided 3 examples of his work that he had done for other clients that related very closely to this job he was applying for. So all those things are really, really solid. Next, we're going to move on to step 3, which is bidding and boosting. And so when you submit a proposal on Upwork, you are required to include a bid. Like I already touched on, this is super self-explanatory. Just bid the price that you're comfortable with. I always try to bid within the client's budget, and I always select never when they talk about, when they ask if you want a rate increase. So this is basically like they give you an option to select an increase every certain amount of months. So there's an option for like 15% every 6 months, 3% every 3 months, whatever, right? I just think personally that this overcomplicates things, and so I don't do it. I haven't used it. I haven't seen success in the very short split test that we did do. And I've talked to people who work at Upwork, and they say that their testing has been completely inconclusive, and they're not really sure if this even helps. But it's just another option. But you can ignore that for now. And so like I said, I just bid within the hourly range that's provided, and then I aim to align with their average hourly paid rate. And so you can see on Upwork, if you click on the job, scroll down a bit on the right-hand side, there is a bunch of information about the company posting this job. So you can see in this example, they have 19 jobs posted, $67,000 spent, and $57.09 as the average hourly paid rate that they've paid other freelancers. And so I always try and get close to that when I bid on jobs, and I try and stay within the range that they have provided, which you'll also see on all the job postings. So in this picture, it's $20 to $30 an hour. And in terms of boosting, it costs 8 to 16 connects to submit each proposal. And I believe you can buy 10 connects for $1.50. And so it's fairly inexpensive to submit each proposal. And so it costs, like I said, 8 to 16 connects to submit each proposal, but you also have the option to boost it. And so you can see in this example, you can see the button at the very bottom says send for 8 connects, or the button right above that says set a bid. And so I'm just going to zoom in on this. You can see there's been one person to set a bid, which is 9 connects. Essentially what this does for you is it makes you show up at the very top of all the freelancers when the job poster goes and starts scrolling through all the applicants of the job. And so you can see that in this picture, you can see the top 2 have been boosted. There's only 4 spots available to boost. And so I encourage you do so. It does provide a significant advantage, especially considering most jobs have a ton of demand. So you can see this one had over 58 proposals that were submitted in just the first few days. And so if you can see here, the first 2 are at the first 2 that were boosted are at the very top. It's obviously in order of the place that you secure. So this person would have shown up first in the job applicants when the job poster is scrolling through. So this is kind of my system for bidding. I recommend bidding 2 connects more than the current first place bidder, as long as you're not exceeding 25 connects, right? It does you no good to bid 40 more connects than the previous first place bidder, because if you bid 5 connects more, or 2 connects more, or even 1 connect more, it still allows you to show up the top of the search rankings, and it does no good, essentially. And so that's what I do. If that's not possible, bid enough to claim the 2nd or 3rd spot in the rankings. For reference, I boost about 60% of my proposals, but it's entirely up to you and your budget. So that is phase 3. And now we're going to move on to phase 4, which is training and scaling. And so this is the final phase. You're going to be in this phase for as long as you choose to use Upwork for. So step 1, you're going to want to hire a virtual assistant, right? Now that you have $7,000 earned on Upwork and a bunch of good reviews, it's going to be time to hire a VA to start submitting these proposals for you and outsource the bulk of this work. And so first, you're going to need to interview a handful of different candidates. There's a bunch of different agencies that offer VA services. One of my favorites is Setters. We've gotten a few different solid VAs from them, but there's going to be a bunch of different options when looking to outsource and hire a VA. When hiring VAs, I prioritize 2 main traits. And so the first one is just the ability to follow instructions, right? As you can see, most of our proposals are templated pretty heavily. And so their job is just going to be to identify which jobs that we're going to be interested in and our company provides. And then to write that one personalized line, check for the job poster's first name, and set the bidding and boosting. But it's not a complicated position. And so really there's only 2 traits that I look for. Like I said, the ability to follow instructions, and the second one is good written English, or obviously if you speak another language, then it would be to speak that language and write good writing in that language. So during the interview process, like I just mentioned, I assess candidates on character, English proficiency, and industry knowledge. It does help to have a VA who is decently knowledgeable in your industry. It's just going to be able to give them some more context when they write these personalized lines. Then I provide them a handful of information about my company and about Upwork and about their potential role. And then candidates who demonstrate potential are given a test. So I'm not going to click on this test, but like I've mentioned before, the free guide will be in the description, so you can download it and see it here. And these are just Google Docs with all the resources that I have. So I pay for 4 hours of their time and send them some information on my company. And then this document, essentially what it is it's a few tests of potential jobs they might come across. So it has like a mock job description, and then it gives them the template, and then it just gives them instructions to basically submit a proposal. Obviously, they're just writing it. They're not having to do anything else. And so I give them 3 days to return it to me, and I grade them on their writing, their ability to follow my instructions, and then I hire the best VA in the group. So it's pretty self-explanatory for that process. Next, I train the virtual assistant. So I dedicate 10 to 15 hours to training. I do 4 to 5 calls that each last 2 to 3 hours. And you can access my free training guide right here. Again, all of this is completely free. I don't sell anything on YouTube. I don't sell anything on any of my social media accounts. It's all just free resources. And if you happen to be a company that's looking to get more deal flow and get more leads, and you're considering Upwork, I'd love to chat a little bit more about what that could look like, what a potential partnership could look like. But I don't sell anything to people, to 99% of people on these platforms. And so all of these guides are completely free. And if you just click on the link, you'll be able to access them. And so initially, I assign my VA 10 hours of work each week. Again, this is completely up to you. If you want more deal flow, you can increase their hours. It's pretty simplistic. It will differ a little bit industry to industry, depending on how much demand there is for your industry on Upwork. For example, like if you run a web development company, there is an outrageous amount of demand for web development, on Upwork, or even social media marketing, social media management, paid ads, right? There's tons of demands for these industries. Accounting is another big one on Upwork. And so if you are in one of these industries, you can maybe push to 20, 30, 40 hours for your virtual assistant. It really just depends, right? And so I meet with my virtual assistant for an hour each weekend to go over all her submitted proposals and address any questions. I would recommend you take a similar approach. It's good to hop on a call once a week just to answer any questions, as well as review the good things and bad things that they did, especially when they're first starting out. Next, step 3 is going to be simplifying and scaling. So once you have $7,000 earned on Upwork and you have a handful of good reviews, it's much, much more reasonable for someone to trust you. And so that's been a very common theme throughout this, is just building more trust, right? And so at this stage, now that we have that trust, I would recommend using a much shorter proposal template and directing people to your Upwork profile or something else, right? And so that something else might be like more specific, like directing people to your portfolio on Upwork, or your video testimonial on Upwork, or a Google Drive link if you want to put that in there, right? Like whatever else. All right, so you can see my template here. It's fairly simple. I'll just read through it very quickly. Hey, first name, I've read your job description and I'm confident that my team and I can help you insert need. So again, that's the same as the first line of the previous proposal. And then by this time, you should have a 100% success score on Upwork, or at least a success score. And so if you provide a good service, it'll be in the 90s or above. And so I like to reference that in here because it immediately provides social proof. So I say, there's a reason that we have a 100% success score. It's because we get the job done right the first time, or we work for free until you're happy. And so I'll note, I have submitted thousands of proposals, and I have not once had someone ask me, who I met on Upwork to do free work or to give them a refund when I've submitted a proposal with this first line, right? It just doesn't happen. As long as you provide a good service, people are really happy with it. Then you just have the CTA, which is, I'd love to hop on a call and hear more about your project. Is there a time this week or next that you'd be free for 15 minutes? Again, this is the same exact line as the last one. Thanks, comma, name. Then I like to add in some PS and PPS. So this one says, PS, we keep our proposals brief as we know you get many of them, but if you check out our profile, you can get an in-depth look at our company, our projects, testimonials, and reviews. So again, that just acknowledges like the proposal is brief. I like to do this because often people who post jobs on Upwork are very overwhelming, right? Like if I post a web development job on Upwork, I get over 100 applicants within the first week. And so it can be an extremely overwhelming process to have to go through 100 applications, 100 proposals in a week. And so just acknowledging this makes you relatable and more trustworthy. Next, I say PPS. If you're interested in hearing straight from the horse's mouth, feel free to check out this video testimonial from, insert name, so mine. You'll just insert the name and the title of the person who gave you the video testimonial. So if it was a video testimonial of me, you would say, feel free to check out this video testimonial from Nico Hessel, the founder and CEO of Upwork Outbound, right? And so again, just providing proof that this video testimonial is of value and it's legit. And I would suggest just putting the link to Google Drive right next to it. And a bonus is if you offer multiple services, I would encourage you to divide your keywords, your search terms into groups, and then create a separate proposal template for further personalization. So for example, if you run an accounting company, let's say, and you're doing bookkeeping and then like consulting, maybe. Let's just use those two services. You can have one proposal template for bookkeeping and one proposal template for consulting or tax consulting or whatever else, right? And so that's gonna allow you to further personalize the template without having your VA have to do more work. And so you can see an example of what exactly I'm talking about at this link right here. Next is gonna be step 4. This is maintenance, super simple. KPIs and reporting, you can get all my Upwork KPIs right there. And reporting, I have my virtual assistant fill out this spreadsheet at the end of every single shift.
And there you have it. That's how I've created a fully automated outbound machine that produces $15,000 in monthly revenue using Upwork. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about what my team and I are up to at Upwork Outbound, feel free to book a meeting with us, and I'll leave a link to do that in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.